Yeah, all right. Well, Raw, what a mixed bag this was. I enjoyed a great deal of this show, actually, but we'll get to it at the end of the review. First match, first we get a promo. It's before the match. CM Punk, and let me tell you something. Punk is super fucking cheesy. At this point, he's even worse than Cena. He's like, he's all excitable all the time. You know, his promos are just pretty much just like, psyching up the crowd, just yelling at the top of his lungs. There's no substance. He's not saying anything cool or, anything that, is quotable or catchy, This is not working. There's nothing being said by CM Punk. Where are the great promos? When he was a heel, he was cutting some good promos, but now there's no psychology behind the promos. It's just like, hey, everybody. He kind of reminds me of Krusty the Clown a little bit. He's always smiling and just being a fucking goofball. A fucking goofball. And this prompts the Shield to come out. They're causing dissension. And, even the little things that Dean Ambrose was saying, he was saying them well with good facial expressions, just making CM Punk look horrible. Dean Ambrose is a guy who should be allowed to come out there and cut good promos every week or every other week. It would really increase the promo quality for the show overall. But it's rare that they let Ambrose cut those quality promos. They just usually give him like a topic where he can't really use all his promo skills. They should let him use them more often because he's very good. So then a match gets set up. Punk says he wants to fight the best. This leads to Seth Rollins stepping in, and this was a very good match. A lot of good sequences. The Shield, with some distractions, it was leading to a lot of different things, and hey, I really enjoyed it. Seth Rollins was looking like $1,000,000 in there. And how many times does Michael Cole have to say, oh, he's a ring tactician? Hey, we know he's a good wrestler. How many fucking times do they have to repeat this shit? This is something I gotta address. So just before I get into the rant, good match, a quality match, good counters and stuff. I would have liked to see Rollins win, but I guess it fits in with the whole dissension within the Shield storyline. But still, it wouldn't have hurt to have Seth Rollins get the win over cheesy cornball CM Punk. I will probably always like CM Punk, but I don't like this version of CM Punk, this super babyface version. So anyway, the announcers, I want to get to this. JBL, Michael Cole, and the King. These three guys right here, this has to be the worst ensemble of commentators in the history of WWE. Never have I heard such cheesy fucking shit in all my fucking life. I think that it was even better when they had Todd Grisham or Josh Matthews out there, because this is just fucking cheesy. They have to keep on fucking saying the same thing over and over, force feeding us, things that we're supposed to be thinking, but we don't, because they know that we hate shit. They know that they're at a low point and that they're trying to save the show by trying to manipulate our minds and try to believe stuff. So, they don't have to tell us that Seth Rollins is good in the ring 1,000 times. Just because they like to bury, Seth Rollins because they want Roman Reigns to be the bigger star, so they usually bury Seth Rollins in the singles matches when they have them. They don't need to constantly do that. We know that he deserves more. He's the second best Shield member after Ambrose, I think. Yeah, but they have to keep on saying this. It's the same thing with the IC title. And, we'll continue this throughout the review about these fucking announcers and how much they fucking suck. And Stephanie McMahon comes out and says, they think that they had a really good year and that if they could do anything differently, they wouldn't, because they did everything very well and perfect. Holy fucking shit. You have got to be fucking kidding me. How can you say that this was a good year and that you wouldn't have done anything different? This was probably one of the worst years in the history of the fucking company. It was probably just as bad, maybe slightly worse or slightly better than 2012. I mean, this was just a shit year with shit matches and not a single good storyline. And the storylines especially are horrible. And we're going to get to that in a minute in this review. So they won't do anything differently. This is just, I know this is part of the show and everything, and that they shouldn't admit that they're bad, but sometimes on the show they do admit when they're bad. And when they fucked up and when stuff is boring, they do. They do admit to it. And this is just, it looks stupid though, coming out and making like they had a good year when they didn't. When the ratings are down and no one is saying any good things about them. Well, nobody in their right mind is saying good things about them. They come out and they say it's great. Then they play a package of Randy Orton. Like we need to see a video package of this retard again. Now, to close out the year, I will say that Orton is slightly better as a heel, but to say the very least, I will never be a fan of Randy Orton. He will always be boring, whether he's face or heel. He'll be slightly better as a heel. If you have to have him around, I prefer him to be a heel. But he's always going to be a boring motherfucker. And he still doesn't cut good promos. There's maybe a little bit better when he's in his heel character. It's more natural for him to be a heel, I guess. But still, he's boring. And this video package is not making him look good. It's just reminding me of how much I hate his fucking ass. And then we've got Ziggler defeating Curtis Axel. Not a bad match, actually. Short, but, decent, a sweet short match. Two big bumps in here, actually. Ziggler flying over the top rope, and Curtis Axel just hitting his head on the turnbuckle and just slamming right back down. Looked pretty rough. It looked like it really hurt, and no, not a bad match. Not bad for a Curtis Axel match, but once again, Ziggler. Just wrestling these matches, it's a fucking joke. To see where he was at the beginning of the year and seeing where he is now, it's just fucking depressing. Then we get Big E Langston defeating Fandango. I said last week that I thought this match was a waste, but actually, it turned out to be a pretty good match. Another pretty decent match here, I gotta say. A slower pace, but the wrestling was pretty top quality. The mat wrestling wasn't bad from Fandango. Some reason I enjoyed it. Even though it was at a slower pace, it was pretty fucking enjoyable. It just had a enjoyable quality to it. And really, I gotta say, for all the bashing I did at the beginning of the year for Fandango, I gotta say that since they calmed down on him and they're not shoving him down our throats like they were when they first introduced him, I gotta say I slightly think he's not as bad. He's a little bit better because they're not force-feeding us Fandango. I think maybe McMahon realized that he was just not as good as he thought he was, but he is decent and he showed some good ability. And if you could get a decent match out of a big fucking waste of oxygen like Big E Langston, then hey, Fandango ain't that bad. I'm gonna say it right now. He ain't that bad. He's all right. And I would actually like to see him win the IC belt from Big E Langston because, especially when it's Big E Langston, I would like to see anybody fucking beat him. And then you've got Bad News Barrett interrupts a little celebration with Booker T. Another super cheesy celebration. Everybody talking about the New Year. How many fucking promos on this show? We get it. It's New Year's Raw. New Year's. I wish I had one of those things to blow into that fold out or some shit. I wish I was wearing a party hat for this review, or or something. I don't want to be cheesy like these motherfuckers, but still, like, why does everybody on this show have to talk about the new year? We get it. They don't even have to call it New Year's Raw. We know that it's taking place 2 days before the new year. They don't need to fucking shove that concept down our throats. I think that we get it. It's, New Year's, and New Year's is about to be here, and that they're going to enter into a new year. Say it once, say it twice, but don't say it fucking 70 fucking times. I think I get the message. It's pretty fucking clear to me. Then, which was pretty funny, you had Wade Barrett rising out of the ground from the podium, and I was actually kind of LOLing at this. I thought it was pretty funny. The whole promo sounded a bit contrived. It sounds like all this stuff is scripted that he's saying. It's not really anything original or anything like that. It's just him pretty much just reading off of his script. I guess it was alright. Kind of like he's just saying negative shit because it's so happy. I get that, but it just was cheesy. Rising out of the ground with the podium. Funny, an LOL moment, but overall the whole thing is just, it felt dumb. Like it was just there, and it felt very, very scripted. And also, he says this whole speech, and everybody's just standing there listening to him. Everybody on stage have got an assortment of wrestlers and Booker T. And Booker T was one of the more talkative guys. It doesn't have anything to say back to Wade Barrett after that whole speech. I mean, at least, kind of, say a couple of things back to him or something like, hey, stop being negative or something. Just staying there looking like a couple of dumbasses who just received lobotomies. Just looking and glaring at him and just not saying anything just makes it feel so fucking fake. As I said, it is fake indeed. I get that, but don't go to such extremes to make it seem so scripted. I mean, my God, everything in this fucking company when it comes to the talking and the promos and the storylines is so robotic. I mean, you could pretty much put robots in the place of the wrestlers half the time, and you would achieve the same results and quality. Then Damian Sandow is he's vowing that if he doesn't win his next match, that's going to be voted on by the audience, that he's going to quit. So he faces Khali. He beats Khali. Everybody votes on Khali, so he beats him. And then there's this whole controversy that he pinned him because his shoulder is up, like anyone gives a fuck. And this is being talked about. Hey, his shoulders is up. They were just probably better off not even acknowledging the shoulder being up, because it was just such an awful match and such a forgettable moment. Who the fuck is going to remember this? His shoulder's up. I didn't even notice it. I was barely even paying attention to this shit. I was so bored. And all I could think about is just, Damian Sandow. What a great talent. And once again being wasted. That they're acknowledging that he's not doing well, that he could do better. He's threatening to quit because he's doing so bad. Just have him do good. If you know the guy is good and he deserves to be there, then and he's he's a funny guy with some great ideas and great promos when they allow him to talk and shoot from the hip. He's great. So why not do something good with him? Why not at least let him win the IC belt? I know it doesn't mean shit, but come on, something to just show some sort of achievement from Sandow. Then it's R-Truth defeating Brodus Clay, and holy shit, what a boring fucking cheesy ass match this was. Just all around very cheesy. In the middle, you got Xavier Woods, my favorite wrestler. Yeah, what a fucking dumbass. It sounding like a complete jackass on fucking commentary. Like he ain't got a brain cell in his brain. You know, he's just not a brain cell to have. Just sound like a complete fucking brainless moron on the mic. And then he gets up on the stage and he just starts yelling at Brodus Clay, you know, like a fucking raging retard. And then it prompts the Funkadactyls to come out. Then they're dancing and this is a fucking circus. I'm just gonna say that right now, and not a good circus like Barnum and Bailey, you know, where you got some, you know, some cool things and tigers. No, there ain't no tigers. They're just a bunch of fucking retards out there making goddamn fucking fools out of themselves. Just very, very, very cheesy, cornballish, and this Xavier Woods guy, the character, you know, and it's not WWE writing this. You can tell that this is all him. And trust me, because if you haven't, if you're not familiar with his work in TNA, this motherfucker is a cheesy motherfucker. He thought that he was Apollo Creed from Rocky, making, you know, just tarnishing Carl Weathers', you know, excellent performance in that classic movie, you know, by this guy just going around being a copycat and just being a flat-out goofball. And here, this 5 minutes right here, this man should be fucking fired for just being himself, basically, for just existing. He's just so detestable. What a boring motherfucker. What a cheesy motherfucker. And yeah, if you couldn't tell, I don't like him. And R-Truth beats Brodus Clay, and here's the thing. Brodus Clay is, you know, supposed to be this big evil heel. He could be a monster. He could be destroying guys. But instead, since he's turned heel, he's been losing every match. I mean, what's the point? How could somebody have a successful heel turn and be threatening? You know, he's this big, near 400-pound colossus, and he's losing every match to goofballs like Xavier Woods and R-Truth, two guys that are so far down the rung of the WWE ladder, just big-time fucking jobbers, and, you know, they're beating Brodus Clay every step of the way. Then Brock Lesnar returns, and I have to say that this was fucking awesome, motherfuckers. So, it turns out that whoever is going to win the Cena and Randy Orton match, which I didn't even talk about before, but has, you know, they announced this before, it's not going to be good at all. You know, it's no stipulations or anything. It's just going to be a boring-ass motherfucking match. You know, so they say there's no stipulation to the match, but it's actually like no DQ because they said the only way you can win is by pinfall or submission. So by my estimation, that's a no DQ match. And isn't that a stipulation? I think that it is. So anyway, whoever wins that piece of shit, Lesnar is going to fight them. And I'm guessing it's probably going to be Orton going against Lesnar because we haven't seen that match and we already saw Cena and Lesnar already. And Orton just won the fucking belt. He's not going to lose it in less than a month. That ain't going to happen. So, if anybody objects to this, you know, Paul Heyman says, you know, come out now or whatever, and then Lesnar gets on the mic, and this just reminds me of why they have Paul Heyman there, because Lesnar can't cut a promo for shit, but whatever. It was still great to have him there, and it felt like an important moment. Mark Henry comes out, and it's just awesome. Spears him right through the barricade, F5s him, just completely destroys Mark Henry, and it just, you know, Lesnar was screaming like a fucking animal. It was a great moment, and, you know, this is the thing about this show, you know, you have a couple of decent matches, then a bunch of shit, and then an awesome moment. So it's like you walk away from these shows sometimes, and you don't know what the fuck to think. Then you got the non-Total Divas defeating the Total Divas in a fucking piss-poor match. See, this is what I'm talking about. How the fuck do you get from, pretty good, decent, horrible, awesome, to fucking horrible again? Like, what is the pattern here? Why can't it be good, decent, good, decent, or maybe one bad, two bads? Why can't we get a bunch of decents or goods? It doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, why is the show patterned this way? They obviously have an idea of what's good, because when they do good, it is good. But when they do bad, it's fucking horrible. Like this, like how, and also how many times are they gonna book this? How many fucking times have we seen Total Divas and non-Total Divas since Survivor Series? I'm gonna calculate probably 83 fucking times. And also, the only difference here is that they put Rosa Mendez in here, and one other person on the other team. Doesn't make any sense. They just add people. There's no point to this. It's the same match. Whether you swap one or two people out, it's not gonna really matter. It's the same fucking match over and over, and it just repeats itself. How many times are we supposed to sit through it? It's just mind-boggling how many times they could keep crapping out the same shit and expecting us to be okay with it, expecting us to watch it, when it's the same thing. And the finish to this match, what kind of a finish was that? Some weak-ass looking elbow thing from Oksana. I have never seen such a horribly executed move. I mean, they're putting people out there that don't even know how to execute moves. This is the WWE, the big times. And, if they're going to keep on having this match, why is it getting worse and worse? It's the same people wrestling. It should, they should acquire chemistry with one another. It should be improving, if anything. There's been things like this. Like, I remember when they had Edge and Cena for the first time. The first couple of times they wrestled, it was really bad. But then by the time they had their TLC match, it was fucking great. Now I know this ain't Edge, one of the best of all time, but still, if they're going to have this match, why is it getting progressively worse? I'm spending way too much time on this fucking match. The next thing that happened was you got Daniel Bryan. So he's involved in a gauntlet. If he can beat Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, he's going to finally face Bray Wyatt. All right. Daniel Bryan wrestling 3 times. I ain't got a problem with this. You all know that. Daniel Bryan, the best wrestler on the roster. What could be wrong? What could go wrong with this? 3 matches from the best wrestler on the roster. Yeah. See how it was. So the first match of the gauntlet was actually pretty decent. Him versus Luke Harper, not bad. Luke Harper's actually a pretty decent wrestler, I gotta say. He's got a couple of decent moves. Stuff he does looks pretty brutal in there. I enjoy most of his work, I gotta say. He's not a bad talent. He's grown on me. So Bryan ends up, giving him the knee, gets the pinfall. Not too bad, you gotta say. Enjoyed that one. Then they have the match with Eric Rowan. Most of it takes place during the commercial break. Well, a lot of good that does us. We can't even see the match. And I ain't going to the fucking app to watch it. I'm watching this shit on the fucking internet. And so I'm not going to watch that shit. So, I couldn't see what happened during the commercial. So, whatever. I just got to assume that it wasn't that great if it's already over already. So then Bray Wyatt finally gets in. There's no contact with anybody. The rest of the Wyatts just rush in and they just beat the shit out of Daniel Bryan. The beatdown looked pretty good, but then they did something that just fucking pissed me the fuck off beyond belief. So everybody knows throughout the whole year of 2013, I talked about Daniel Bryan being the best. He truly is the best. It pretty much stands out that he's the best. He consistently has the best matches on the show. He consistently has all the fan support, man, more than any other wrestler on the fucking roster. Daniel Bryan is the best. He deserves the best. He deserves to be the champion, not Randy Orton. We all got that. We all know that. We all understand that. So why the fuck did he end up joining the Wyatts? Yes, that's right. If you didn't watch this show, let me tell you something. Daniel Bryan ended up joining the Wyatts. Why the fuck would they do something stupid like that? You know, seriously, what are they fucking thinking? First, they make like this feud's over at Survivor Series, that they were just going to cap it off and that was it. And that, they weren't going to try to make Daniel Bryan join them anymore. Or actually, TLC that they capped it off. So why all of a sudden, out of nowhere, did they just have Daniel Bryan succumb to Bray Wyatt? Oh, I'm going to join you. It doesn't matter how much, people cheer for me. I'm going to join you because the machine won't let me win. And what do you think that means when they say that? It means the machine, the WWE machine, Vince McMahon, they won't let him win. So they acknowledge it on TV. Well, that's just great. They're basically acknowledging that even though Daniel Bryan's very good and everybody's behind him, that the machine won't let him win. So if they acknowledge this, if they realize of their wrongdoing, then why do it? I don't get this logic. If they realize it, if they're not ignorant to their own wrongdoing, then why do they continue to fuck with everybody? I don't get it. Is this a nice way to treat the fans, and especially to do this? Who asked for this? Who wanted Daniel Bryan to join the Wyatts? The Wyatts are good and everything, but Daniel Bryan should be getting away from this. He should be fighting for the world title if he's the most popular. And you know how fucking retarded it looks that he's not allowed to be world champion? I mean, this would have been like back in the day, everybody cheering for Hogan, everybody cheering for Austin. If all this shit happened, all they kept on doing was just, I mean, could you imagine if like Stone Cold just joined the corporation in the height of his popularity? It would have made no fucking sense. It would have been dumb and everybody probably would have turned on the fucking WWE at the time and just not watched. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. One of the few things keeping people watching is Daniel Bryan and for some people CM Punk. So eventually people are going to stop watching this shit when they realize that every single time that they turn on the fucking TV, they're getting basically a slap to the fucking face. That's what it is, a slap to the fucking face. And that's exactly what it would have been back then. Hogan, imagine Hogan, it's this popularity and, oh wait, is he going to beat Iron Sheik for the world title? No, he joins Iron Sheik and starts tagging with them. That would have been the equivalent back then. And that is the equivalent now. And this is very fucking stupid. I don't know if they've got something planned, like he's going to like join them so he can like internally destroy them. If that is the plan, that as well is retarded. Because he should just, whatever, end this thing with the Wyatts. They've had some quality matches together, but now it's time to move on. It's time to have Daniel Bryan heading into WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Imagine this big match. It could possibly happen. But it's not going to happen if they keep fucking around and doing stupid, retarded shit like this that makes no fucking sense. So as you can see, I'm not very happy with the way the storylines are progressing. But people will say that, oh, I gotta give it a chance for the storyline to progress. Well, fuck that. I don't give a shit about this storyline. I don't like how it's progressing. I don't like how this company's progressing. I don't like the way this company's progressing for about 10 fucking years already. It's been a piece of shit for many, many fucking years already. Even before the PG era, this fucking shit had a ton of fucking problems. And now it's actually gotten worse. If you could have heard me back what I was saying about this shit back in 2005, it would have fucking numbed your mind. I was saying bad shit about it back then too, but if I knew now, if I knew back then what I know now, what this shit was going to become, I probably would have went a little bit easier on it, I just gotta say. Well, what a piece of shit show. It was pretty fucking good in some parts, but pretty fucking bad in others. So overall, I have to say, since the major part of the show that took up most of it was this Daniel Bryan bullshit, I gotta say that I really didn't enjoy it. Now, I'll say that it was like a mixed bag because there was some good shit, but far too much shit was sprinkled on top of it. And I can't even say it was sprinkled. It was pretty much fucking devouring the whole fucking thing. Pretty fucking bad. For the most part. Decent in some parts, but bad overall.